Hello there. This week of the Long Form Podcast is special. I am currently in Rubavu, right on the border with Congo. My team and I are traveling to Goma to interview Willy Manzi Ngarambe, the Vice Governor of the North Kivu province. I want Vice Governor Manzi, who was appointed to his position in February this year, to help us understand the challenges the new North Kivu and South Kivu administrators face to pacify the restive region. We shall also discuss his life journey, the plight of the Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese, his hopes and dreams for the region, and attempt to answer this question. Is the AFC M23 the last hope for peace in the Congo? Come with me as I head to the Congo.
This is the very, very best. I introduce the very, very next. Big deal, you know this is the big league. Unsanga mumihanda ya chigari mega big fish. Word on the street turakaze. Habari gani mumeze mte. Yutse shimi mana kuva honda muchiye. If you want the long form, come close mrabure.
Wait, what? The long form.
What did he say?
The long form.
What?
The long form.
The long form. The long form. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to make a deal with you. About 69.5% of you who watched this very podcast haven't hit the subscribe button yet. So here's the deal I want to make with you. If you hit that subscribe button today, I promise you that my team and I will keep making the show better and better in every single way. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button today. And now, let's get into the show. Vice Governor Manzi, thank you for inviting me into your beautiful country, into your beautiful North Kivu capital, Goma. Welcome to the Long Form Podcast.
Oh, thank you. And I hope you saw the beauty outside here.
The cleanliness.
And a welcome face.
No, actually, when I got here, I was entering the office here. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I haven't spoken French in about 10 years. So I started speaking French. Then one lady asks me, but why are you fighting? Speak Kinyarwanda. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, it's a new era. It's an era of being oneself.
Today is the 16th of May. It's literally 100 days. 100 days since you were named Vice Governor.
That's right.
And by the AFC M23 political leadership. So first of all, I remember I found your number and I was able to congratulate you, and I hope you saw it.
Yes, I did.
Were you shocked by the appointment?
I was. Yeah, I was. I will be honest. One thing I already had and prepared for was to serve in any capacity. And as you know, you lived in the diaspora, you know how life sporadic can be, you know. For me, I am a father of 3 very young children, and I had a job, a father and a husband. Waking up in the morning, I'm coming just from United States in mobilization. Landing home that evening, I got a phone call. Late evening, like night, basically, around 11 p.m. And that phone call was from General himself.
Okay, Machenga.
Definitely. And he's asking me, because I was planning to come to do a course, a training. Then he asked me, when will I be coming? I said, on 8th. He said, that too far. And I was already on like 29th, I think it was 29th of January. Goma was taken 27, 28, then 29th. And then I said, no, I'm coming on 8th of February, because for me, in my head, I'm coming to the training.
Yes.
I said, no, that's far. He said, so when do you want me to come? He's like, now. I was downstairs watching TV. I just arrived from the United States. I go up to wake up my wife and tell her that in the morning I'm traveling to Congo.
Was she surprised to get that information?
No, I prepared her. I didn't know for sure this is another crazy story, because everything I say actually happens. So many times I used to tell my wife, if I happen to be a minister in Congo, will you let me go? And she said, maybe. Another time I said, what if I become a president in Congo? Honestly, I was innocent. I had no idea even a position of becoming in Makumi in Congo will ever happen. So that time, she already had an idea, and she knew I was in diaspora, but I was into extreme activism.
Yes.
I traveled for this. She drove me all over the country and even across the United States into only speaking about the movement. So she already was also like a cadre, you know.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is she also Congolese?
She's a Canadian.
Ah.
Yeah, she's a Canadian.
That's fantastic. It's very rare to find a Canadian who will support you in that. How did that conversation occur?
I actually, before we got married, I was already, for me, since I left my country, there was no any other conversation. It was about going home or finding a way to go home. So even when we were dating, and I saw that there is a probability we may get married, I told my wife that politics has married another politics, and I'm their son. Which means that when you see me going into these events and speaking about my country, don't think I'm crazy. This is who I am. My father doesn't exist. My family is scattered around the world. And there is no way I can basically see my life or our lives ending up in air like this.
Yeah.
Something has to happen. I didn't know what, but I knew whatever will be, I will participate. So I prepared her like that. I didn't know. This was in 2016. 2015 is 16.
That's just before you got married.
That's right.
So she knew what was...
She knew. And when we got married, my children, like my child will born like today, I will start telling her about Congo or him. about Congo, bringing all the maps and showing how where I came from and how life has turned out. It was like crazy stuff, but my wife consumed these things and personalized them. And she told me, when I told her that I'm leaving, she told me, I know it is difficult, but I know this is something you love, and I love it for you.
No, it's fantastic to hear just how supportive your partner was in the struggle and allowing you, because I'm a dad and I'm also a husband, and I know that I prefer to always be in partnership with my spouse. I don't want to be in antagonism,
Yes.
and it does not sound that like you were in that constant fight.
No. I always, I'm going to say this honestly, and I'm not even, I don't know how to say it, but I always tell my wife that she's an angel, and I mean it. In a way, I said she's a physical angel, because there is no way a human cannot sin, This is things I used to tell her. And until now, my wife is a heroine. You lived in Canada. Having 3 children in Canada alone.
Yeah,
You
terrible.
allow your husband to leave and go and stay unknown days. It is beyond what, for me, yes, I'm doing what I'm doing, but she's doing a triple of what I'm doing. I know that. So I used to tell her, my wife, I'm the one who created her, because everything she has is the only things I want. She's very supportive even to this day.
Has she yet had the chance to visit this beautiful country that you love so much?
No, she's supposed to come in July, but her mom had an accident. So she's now taking care of mom, but she will come.
And I'm sure that you're pretty excited to really show her this Eden, this home of yours, right?
Let me tell you, I don't say much because I want her to be surprised.
Yes.
Everyone who hears about Congo only hear chaos, killings, death. There is nothing good about Congo, they say, except minerals. So if anyone, there is a friend of mine who just came from Canada and he crossed over. He was beyond surprised. He told me, if I closed my eyes and wake up here, I would think I'm in Vancouver.
Yes.
I'm like, no. If you closed your eyes and you find yourself in Vancouver, you will think you are here. I don't want my country to always be likened by another thing. I want other things to be likened as my country, not the other way around. Yeah. So my friend was impressed by how Goma is. And this is only Goma. But if you can go beyond these hills and you go to Masisi, it's your heart will stop. And this is not, they say, oh, it's like a Swiss. I'm like, no. Swiss, they put all those beauty and we didn't do anything. This is a beauty from God, straight, So my wife, I kept her just to think whatever she wants to think. I want her the day she will come here to tell her own story and her own version.
So now 100 days of you being a part of this revolution, as you call it, and as governor, vice governor, how comfortable are you now in your role?
Very comfortable. When I first arrived and I was given office, it was like taking a baby, throw them in the sea and say, okay, good luck, swim, And it was a lot of adjustment. You have to understand, I never grew up here. And Africa, I never lived with my community. And so it was a lot to take in at one time. But I slapped myself and I said, you know what? The job has started. And the countdown is on. You need to show the people now. You used to be a victim. Now people under you are going to now start saying they're victims of you.
Yes.
Now you need to wake up and start. This city didn't have water. Electricity was nowhere to be found. Internet. You don't know. I don't know if they told you. We have a 5G here. You should have gotten a Wi-Fi that is going very fast, you know. So all these things, the basic infrastructure was not anywhere.
Security
was even worse, you know. So we started doing whatever we can do to make sure that we stabilize the situation. And over we are doing things. And you know, you learn by doing, you know. And a few days then, and with a good team that we have, with a good leaders that we have, such as General and other AFC cadres, were nearby us. So questions that we needed to ask, they were there for us. So it was not bad transition. You know, I'm okay now.
Now you know how to understand the different politics, because fundamentally you're now a politician. Before you were an activist, now you're a politician.
That's right.
And those are two different.
Yes, but to be quite honest, I'm still activist. Yes, I'm still activist. I don't like the connotation that is attached to the politics, that politicians are liars and stuff. I still want to be a man of the people because this is who I am. You understand? I'm a person who cannot fake. I can't. And this is who I am. I don't know if it will change, but I prefer not to change. You know, I prefer to be authentic in everything that I do. So, yeah, I'm still activist because even now, when there is an issue that I'm following, I rest when the issue is solved. There's no any other way around. You can't fake.
So when do you rest? Because that's another thing, is that there's so many issues. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Goma, you know, as everything was happening. So you're dealing with the mercenaries, you're dealing with FDLR, you're dealing with Maima, you're dealing with Wazalendo, you're dealing with FARDC, you're dealing with death, and you're saying that, you know, you want to deal with an issue, and if you don't deal with it, you won't rest it.
You know,
how do you find that balance?
So what I mean is, we are a good team. We have a very good team. For us, every time there is an issue, we sit down and we talk about it and see how we can tackle the issue. And we work as a team. So let's say, for example, there is an issue with some, you know, there is a one person, you know, there is a lot of issues with the land here in Goma. I mean, across the Eastern DRC.
Why?
Because of lack of governance and government in itself. So when there is an agency, it used to be a government agency called Cadastre. And this Cadastre is in charge of distributing basically land and give land titles and stuff. This entity is supposed to have 60 people here in Goma, because we have two communes. One is Goma, and another one is Karisimbi. And then we have Nyiragongo, which is basically a territory. It's called a territory here. So these people, they approved people who are supposed to work in these entities should be 60. But government allow other people, I forgot how they used to call them, non-matricule, something like that. They will work just there. These are the people. So there is people who are producing the titles, land titles, and there is those people who are here doing nothing. Then they will work with these people who are giving land titles. They fake titles. And you find one land is owned by 5 to 10 people. And these people are fighting to death.
And now you have to find a way to deal with that.
Definitely.
And figure out the truth.
Not only the truth, but to unite these people so that no one will kill another. So these are the where we come in, we sit with them, and we reason with them. Because the job of the government is not putting people, I remember when we were still young, very young, you know, and there is a big guy and he wants you and me to fight. He will bring like a sand and put in between and say, you know, tap on it. You tap on it. And he's asked you tap on it. He say, okay, you spoiled my rice, now fight. And you start fighting. You know, this is exactly what the Congolese government has been doing to the population here. And I'm sure that is what it is happening other places. We are only talking about here because this is where we are, you know. But our people have been deprived any government support whatsoever. So our job is to restore that trust first in the government and the government to intervene in these issues where population have been fighting to death and, you know, and it's happening. People are, you know, handshaking, solving the issues every day. Yeah.
It must be, you know, if you think about Goma and the things that it has seen, it must be almost, because you cannot go through all these things and not be fundamentally traumatized as a people. So it must almost be strange. It's like seeing green men, a government that is working for you and not against you.
That's right.
How have the people received this new change of thinking? Because it's a mindset change. It's a fund.
That's right.
It's the idea that, you know, if I want to cross the border, there's a line, there's an amount of money that I pay that is known. I'll pay taxes on time, and there's no funny business.
Yeah.
You know, people get used to bad things.
That's right.
And they normalize it, and then they think
right.
it's good.
Oh gosh, that's how do they call it? Stockholm
Syndrome.
Yeah, you know.
So you're the therapist.
You're actually right. At first, people resisted. At first, people resisted. They could not understand that, as you said, no one could understand what we are. Few days after, there is a they call it quartier. This is a
neighborhood.
It's a neighborhood, but it's a division of commune. In each commune has a quartier, number of quartier or neighborhoods. There is one particular quartier or neighborhood. It's called Ndosho. This Ndosho, I honestly used to think there is a demon possessed place that this quartier or neighborhood cannot ever have peace.
Why?
People will die in that neighborhood every night, and not a few.
Dying of what?
So, before we arrived, Ndosho was bad. People will die.
So it was
night.
Historically bad.
Now, people saw Ndosho transforming into a very peaceful neighborhood as we arrived.
Yeah.
Today, as we speak, Ndosho is one of the safest neighborhoods in Goma.
What has changed?
The sound of bullet doesn't exist anymore. Kidnappings has stopped. Definitely, looting has stopped. Basically, when I arrived, I used to receive calls almost throughout the night, calling for help. And our security forces has established the list of numbers where people can call for help.
Today, no one is calling.
few calls. No, for me, never anymore. For me, it's over. It's done. Goma is a peaceful city today. And this is what I was saying. So people came to accept that, this is a change. So they're waking up to a new reality that we can actually wake up in the morning without a bullet in Goma. How is this possible? We can actually have water in every neighborhood. Do you know when we came here, people many neighborhoods didn't have water.
Why? Because when you think about it, usually the state should be, if there's no water, it's usually because, the state has never fixed the water. How does a group of rebels, how does it have the administrative capacity and the engineering capacity to fix such a fundamental problem as providing clean water?
Let me ask you a question. Between a doctor and a person who is coming to the hospital, who gives another the guidance where the disease is, where they are hurting?
It's the person going.
Patient, right? How long could it take a doctor to diagnose a sick person, a patient, if the patient did not participate?
It would take a very long time.
That's a simple answer to what is happening in our governed area. The simple issue is diagnose, but you will diagnose with the participation of the person you are trying to help. People brought their issues. And if you remember, I don't know if you saw it, but our first, we called it a descent, basically going to the ground, happened in Sake. Sake didn't have water. Within 1 week, we brought water. And that was the number one thing requested from the population. They asked electricity. In the next two weeks, our governor made sure that there is electricity.
Where did the water come from?
Water, as you can see, there is a few meters from where we are sitting, there is Lake Kivu, right?
Yes.
All you need is a few resources to put a machine here and bring water to the Mogoma, and the people can get water. But that was not even a problem because infrastructure was there. What they did was, because every time they brought water in neighborhood, they would never buy water from the tanker that was sold by the very same people who are mandated to bring water to the population, government.
So they did not want to kill their own market by providing piped water.
Exactly. So they will even cut willingly water, and then they will bring tankers in the same neighborhood where they cut water for them to buy on a tanker, because it will be more expensive on a tanker.
That's evil. That's not even bad governance. That is actually
stupidity.
No, there's stupidity. But then, no, that is, I'm trying to hurt you. I'm going out of my way to cause you pain.
It's beyond what you can imagine. That's one thing. Electricity. We found that you are selling me electricity. You bring a meter where you will be basically counting whatever unit I have used. Do you know that there were fees for the people who are installing meters on people's homes when the business is theirs? We came here, we stopped it. There was, within the electricity itself, they divided as if they are dividing a bread. They will say, okay, from here to this area belongs to this company. This belongs to that. And that company, because they will not get such a monopoly without giving a bribe to the governor, then whatever happened to that neighborhood, nobody will ever know. Nobody cares, nobody will hear, nobody. And when we came, our vice governor, who is in charge of economy and development, dealt with it. Today, when you ask the population how happy they are, and the electricity is never, ever, ever off since I came to Goma.
Yes.
We have a 24 hours electricity. Today, water is more than the demand that we need. We have, I saw the other day our director of the Régie des Eaux, which is the one who is in charge of distributing water. He was begging to people that what is going to burst our pipe now.
Please use it.
Exactly. And I remember there is one place that they went to install water. And when the water came, people went to fetch crying because they asked for water for more than 12 years. They never received help.
Now that's crazy. I want to ask you something. When I speak to my people who are my father's age in Rwanda, because as I told you off camera, we returned in 1994, just right after the 1995 genocide against the Tutsi. And it was known that, this country is poor, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and everyone is going to have to tighten their belts. And I remember people would be paid in maize, in rice, in beans, and those were senior civil servants, people who left great paying jobs in Washington, D.C. and Berlin and Kampala. Yeah. Are you guys also working pro bono, or have you created some kind of pay structure already?
Mostly we are paying, we were working for pro bono before, but at where we are, there is a prime. It's like a bonus. Something small for someone to buy a soap, someone to buy transport. That's about it. We haven't started being paid.
Do you see that happening anytime soon? Because the reason I'm asking, I remember, especially for the soldiers, I remember that time they were still called RPA.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, they went about 3 years. No salary.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the issue right now is not harvesting without even
planting and
exactly. We haven't settled yet, and we are still very much in the fighting. So our main focus is stability, not money. Because if you think about it, before we left this country, we had money. Where is it? So security is paramount to where we are going. And that security will produce everything that we want. For example, since we are arrived here, I don't know if you heard, but we already signed 2 road construction that is going to take a place. That's what the work of the movement. The road from Goma to Kanyabayonga, Gudro or Tarmac, Goma to Masisi and wherever, Nyabiondo, Warikare, wherever, But this is showing you what security can do.
Yes. You can build.
Exactly. And part of finishing the conflict that we have, this development that is coming, this infrastructure, is giving everyone opportunity to think about themselves, not think about gun.
And think about survival.
A possible survival. Because there is thinking of survival of killing for me to survive, and a survival of saying I can make it. Because now there is a platform, infrastructure that can facilitate my survivability. You understand? This is where our people start looking now. if the road Masisi is cleaned, then
I
the
can-
farmers are going to dance. You understand? The next is something I didn't tell you. Since we arrived here, a bag of potato here was $120.
Wow.
Today,
Who could afford that?
governor.
$120.
Did you know that when we arrived here, governor had tax for himself, a tax of a governor and
Governor's
his
tax.
wife. Yes, and his and his wife. You understand? This was not even a banana republic.
So that's a potato republic. My goodness.
Today,
$120.
exactly. Today, a bag of potato. We are begging people to take it from the so they don't rotten in
the fields.
Yeah, you understand. So now, for those who can hear our conversation, we need a market to take our potatoes somewhere they can afford to eat them. You know.
Now, there's something that, I thought I was going to get a chance to speak to the head of Kadeko.
Yes.
That's a local bank that was opened by the movement. But I was not able to, unfortunately. I would like to ask, one of the things that I've heard over and over again has been the issue of cash flow, right? The banks are not opened. And people are not able to access even the money that they have because the politicians in your country's capital.
My capital is this one.
In Kinshasa are saying
Yes.
that, pretty much they want to squeeze you. They want to squeeze the people.
Yeah.
What is the way forward? How do you move out of that situation? Because at the end of the day, there has to be some kind of legal tender to trade.
Well, you already answered this question. You said before your grandfathers or fathers were being paid
In
rice and
potatoes.
potatoes. This used to be our trading pattern, You used to be, you have potatoes, I have rice. I give rice, you give me potato, for example. But that is a joke. We have now a bank. We have a bank. And as always, when Kinshasa came and dumped millions of guns in Goma, do you think they were thinking about killing M23? If a soldier trained in all the countries in the world, Israel, South Africa, anywhere in the world, trained there, they are running in the face of a movement. Do you think they were thinking like a simple peasant here in Goma will be standing in front of M23? No. The answer is no. They simply gave them guns to kill themselves. So just like that, squeezing the money of the population, thinking they are squeezing the money of the M23. I don't know how they think we are banking in these banks.
Maybe they're thinking that because you've obviously provided clean water, water that they did not have previously. You've provided security, obviously security that people did not have previously. You've provided electricity and a sense of hope.
Roads are being built.
Constructed and
Cleanliness.
That's something that I saw immediately. I'm thinking the way the leadership in Kinshasa is thinking is that the way to turn the population is to impoverish them, to impoverish them to such a level that they rise up and make Goma ungovernable.
These people can buy, if security was to be bought, these people will lose everything to have security, to sleep. Can you buy life? You can't. You cannot buy life. And these people were dying like flies before we arrived. Today, at least they have someone they can call if anything happened, which never happened. In fact, people who participated in what they call special intervention. Those who will go to see where there is attacks, where ones who owned those gangs who killed the people, those FDLR, those Nyatula, those Wazarendo, were belonged to some colonels who used to guard this city. But today, people can say, okay, keep my money, but I keep my security. Because with security, with life, I can get more money, Anyways, with that being said, bank is there now. And to be quite honest, the suffering is the mother of invention. You take us away from us something, we make something out of it. That will remain permanently. Our bank is here and is here to stay. And money is circulating. Markets are open. If you have a chance, pass through Birere, you will see. You will see a vibrant market there. You can't tell me those people are not selling and then they keep bringing those things over and over again. And you can't tell me people are buying without money. So there's money,
So there's money somewhere,
Definitely.
just not in people's because I can imagine if someone woke up today and shut down my accounts.
Yes.
I might be able to survive, but it would be very difficult.
It is
right?
difficult.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
No, I would like to, as you're telling me about the banking situation, I'm just putting myself in people's shoes. If someone, I'm fortunate, I don't live in a war zone. But if I lost my access to my bank account, just like that, it could be quite a struggle.
Challenging.
It's quite challenging. So I would like to understand, right? I'm very interested in how the movement will create an economy. How exactly would the bank work and operate and allow people to rebuild their wealth? And maybe the last question is, what recourse do people have? Are they able to sue the government? How does the government just, you get what I'm saying? It does not make sense.
So I will answer part of the question because I will be quite honest. I'm not a banker and things of operations of the bank and stuff. I will leave it aside. But I will say to the side of the people first of all, this should be a crime against humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, someone to wake up and hold your money. You are not on a sanction of anything. Even if Tshisekedi may be fighting us, should leave the people alone. You understand? Because, again, that's number one. Just the people to even the international community to just let it go after the over 20-something millions money is held.
That's of dollars.
Yes. No, I mean people. Millions of people in the
27 million people.
22 millions roughly.
Who have no banking services other than the one that you've brought up.
Exactly. And even those who had banked before. But people who had their accounts in international banks, they went in neighborhood countries and they withdrawn their money. So now they're creating accounts in their own bank account.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tshisekedi was not entirely smart because he forgot that with the banks, because Congo never had its own bank. You know that? No, Congo never had a bank. So
all the banks
are foreigners, which means people left here and went to withdraw in a country that have those branches. That's one. But another one is for the people. This is something that I said actually, which is indispensable, is the security of the people. Whatever could take the people to have peace, that could, if it was to buy it with money, they will do it for them to have peace. Imagine having a country that since it was called a country, it never had peace. it never had development. It never had basic infrastructure. It never had nothing, nothing here. Now, imagine that person starts seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, thinking, oh, actually, yes, I lost money. Let's say it is $5,000, but I can sleep without a fear that I can die. I can sleep without that fear that my shop will be broken into and steal everything. I can sleep without thinking that someone will accuse me whatever they want for the sake of arresting me just to loot my wealth. So there is actually a bargain to that. Yes, Tshisekedi has taken the banks, but there is a lot that has opened to the Congolese people in this region.
Let's talk about the Congolese people in this region. You left DRC, or Zaire as it was then known, right after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi.
Yeah.
What was the correlation between the Tutsi genocide in Rwanda and a young Manzi being forced to flee his ancestral home?
That's interesting. The face that we have is basically our misery, that I may say. When the genocide happened, as we always explain these issues, the region where we are in, many of its places are in Kinyarwanda, which means we speak Kinyarwanda. And the demography, the people of this region, there is Hutus, there is Tutsis, just there is in Rwanda and Burundi, right? So when genocide happened, we had people also whose families, these people who are coming from Rwanda to Congo, had their families here in the DRC. These killers. And many of them, we mixed. We didn't know that we have relatives in other countries. We didn't know. You know that? So people left and come with their weapons and they flooded this region. And they continued their genocide. Just the way they were killing Tutsis in Rwanda, they continued the same thing here.
Even in your home?
Definitely, yeah.
Where was your home?
I was born in South Kivu, in a place called Numbi. It's in Karehe territory. Bukavu is basically our capital.
Yes.
So then, even there, the Rwandophones had expanded. They live up to Warikare, Kanyabayonga, Butembo, like everywhere. So when these people came, they were allowed to actually selectively killing us everywhere we are. And we were forced to leave and go to Rwanda. So
the government allowed them to do that?
Yeah, Mobutu government.
Why?
Because, as you know, historically, Congo has been fighting our identity. Let's start from the, when we received the independence as a country in 1960, 30th of June. This is when every Congolese received nationality, even those who didn't have. Everyone didn't have a nationality because we are all living in a colony country. But when the constitution finally, we received the independence, then the constitution allowed that everyone who was found on the soil of Congo became Congolese automatically.
Yes.
This technically could have allowed even those people of 1959 from Rwanda could be Congolese.
Yes.
But for them, when the war finished, they left it. They returned home. No one was interested to become Congolese.
Yes.
But for us, 1961, the colonialists so that it will be a problem because they were installing other people other than Tutsis and Hutus in power. So they put Hundes and Nande. Remember, these are divisions of Africa that left, some communities, on different borders of the countries. Nandes are in Uganda as Bakonjo. I think you know that, And I think Bahunde also are there. For us, the integration did not happen.
Yes.
And unfortunately, but these were our ancestral land. We never moved from one location to another location, though there were migrations that occurred between 1885 and 1959. Those migration, and then 1994 when the genocide against the Tutsis happened. So for us, since 1960, there was those issues of Hundes and Nande calling us foreigners. And when you look closely, I actually saw it when I arrived here recently. I realized that people called Bahavu, for example, they have names. You can't separate them from Rwandan names. The Bahunde, this region is almost the same people, But I don't know who convinced them that they're different from us. Yeah. So that is where the issue began. And then there was that, fighting between communities. 1965, there was an open war called Kinyarwanda, where many Hutus and Tutsis were killed by these other communities. And the Belgians supported the side that were killing Rwandophones. From 1960 to 70 something, when Habyarimana now involved in the issues of Congo and created something called Magrivi. This is when this Magrivi, in itself, there was an armed group called Abakombata. And this Abakombata used to fight with Mai Mai. You see that so until
Mai
now...
is not new, is not something that existed over the last 10 years. It's something that's...
My is old than my mother.
Jesus Christ.
It's old, you understand? It's very old. And people, they used to call them Bangirima. These are very old armed groups. Then another one was Bakombata of the Hutu population. But this was installed by Habyarimana, who used to be involved a lot in Congolese issues. And I remember every New Year's Eve, we'll be waiting to be killed. They will always say that they brought a machete. Yeah. They will
every New Year's Eve?
I swear to God.
Instead of celebrating with other people.
We will be hiding, yeah. They will always say that they will kill us on New Year's Eve or Christmas. And they will always say that they brought actually machetes. This is the sounds that I grew up to. This is when I was a little bit older. But 1980 something, 81, 82, then they dropped completely our citizenship. They said no one, not a single Rwanda-speaking people, Kinyarwanda-speaking people will have citizenship again.
So you were born in 86?
85.
85.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you were born stateless?
Kind of.
In law?
Yeah.
Because you are not?
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. That's what it is. So we were not allowed to be voted or vote. So we were people of no... No
rights. No, you're... Again, stateless people.
It's beyond what you can imagine. This is what happened. So now, in 1990, there was a conference. I think they called it Conférence Souveraine, something like that. This was now to study the issue and to see the issues between communities and to solve it. This was organized by, government, they refused any Rwanda-speaking people to enter. They let every other communities to come but except us. But one thing that is always sad for me, it is because even these communities that were discriminated themselves among themselves. This is what happened now when 1994 happened. These people came, those were combatants from Magrivi, received them, and it was like reinforcement, and now they hunted us down.
So Kombata plus Ineramwe plus Exfar.
Exactly. Then they hunted us down. Up here, there was a place called Mugunga. If you know a place in the Bible called Inyabihanga, which they used to cut people's heads, and Mugunga was the same thing.
Golgotha.
Exactly. That's Mugunga, where the Interahamwe encamped. And as you know, we don't have many ways, many roads to come from Congo. So that road, we all pass through there. You will literally pass there knowing that there is a possibility that the chances of making it is very small than the chances of you dying there. At Mugunga up here.
Yes.
It was a refugee camp. And many people perished there. So as a young child, for me, my uncle was coming from a center called Numbi, coming back home. Because for us, we lived in a pasture, where we lived with the cows and the stuff. And arriving to a bridge called a river called the Nyabarongo, they captured him and they took him at a place called Igari in Shanje area, but they renamed it Ikigari because there was so many in Interahamwe. They renamed many places based on how they called in Rwanda. My uncle disappeared. So my dad started looking for him everywhere. He could not find him. So there were a group of Hutu people who were in a certain region. They call it Abatampera. These are the people, Adventists, but they came out of Adventists. They say they are, they are cleaning the church. They are
like
strengthening
almost charismatics.
They came to look for my dad. And they told him that they saw his brother is arrested at Kwigari. But they said that my uncle, they were chopping him meats and barbecue them and give it to himself to eat. They did that because this was like a month or two looking for him. And they were doing it slowly by slowly. My uncle died the terrible death that I have ever heard. My dad said, okay, we have cows, we have these things. Can we give them so they can let him go? And the answer was, there is no price for the enemy. My dad died, my uncle died. Like that, leaving a 2-year-old daughter. Few days after, my dad was captured.
Oh no!
By the government now. Arrested him.
For what? Oh, for what?
For being a Tutsi. Being a Tutsi was a sin in this country, and it still is in a place where we are not. So my dad told them, okay, here's the money, let me instruct something to my wife and come back. My dad came home to say, I'm leaving now, you need to follow me. Because if I wait for you, they will kill me. My dad left because it was not very easy, to get a vehicle from Rwanda to come to pick us and bring us to Rwanda. because the driver was a death. It was a very terrible situation. I don't know even how we made it to Rwanda, to be quite honest. So my dad left to go, because this vehicle, you will wait for like 2 weeks, between 2 weeks and a month.
It's like a bus or a
It
lorry.
was a truck called Daihatsu. You know those
Yes,
Daihatsu. So they will they used to kill people. If it was like a bus, they will kill everybody.
Yes.
They will know which one it is.
Yes.
But they used to disguise it as the vehicles that are bringing some crops, some food.
So you hide under.
You will go inside and they will put plastic sheeting in the sun. You melt inside, but you can't breathe. It's okay. At least you will die, but other people will make it. That's what it was. So they will wait. And because it was difficult to arrive at the same time, people will come one by one. You go to hide, a place called Morambi, another one will come, like that. And then when the people are enough to go to bring a vehicle, a guy will come and take them to Rwanda. I remember a guy called Kadodo.
Yes.
He used to bring that Daihatsu and pick the people. And now the hell was to come to pick those people and take them to Rwanda, alive.
But then somehow your father put all of you together.
My father will never meet again.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that time he left, and
He left instructions.
he left instruction. We followed him, and we stayed in a place called the Rwangara. This Rwangara, the owners of the houses, they left to Rwanda. So for us, we are coming from back in the South Kivu, arriving in Masisi, and then we went in their homes.
So did you guys walk from south?
Definitely.
From south? That's a lot.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's maybe what, 400, 500
I don't
kilometers?
even know. It's a lot of walking. And I was only 8, and I had 3 siblings.
And you're
My
walking.
mom is dragging one, another one is like here, another one is on her head, and we didn't have anything. We just worked. We had only bag of ugari, I remember, and a bag of money, because that time, like $100 would be 2 bags. It was a lot of craziness. So we actually started going, and we are carrying those stuff as we are freeing. So we hide in those homes. We will strip them and go to stay in bamboo during daytime. There were a lot of forest of bamboos. So we will go in bamboos. But even when we were escaping, we went through the forest, and my mom never knew anything, never knew any country or to go anywhere. My mom was just a housewife. And this time comes when my father is no longer, and my mom had to take charge of a known direction.
But I'm still confused. So your father helps organize the movement. Then he goes back to the government troops that he left.
No. So father did not go back to the troops. My father went to look for the vehicle.
Yes.
So he was waiting for us in a place called Murambi.
Yes.
So for us, when we arrived at a place called Rwangara, where we stopped, waiting that my father will come back and say, okay, the vehicle is here, now we can go. That's when we got attacked by the military from where we came from now. They followed us. They shoot the entire village. We survived. They captured us, stripped us everything, and took us back in Inumbi. Again by foot, walking with the soldiers, and they put us in prison.
You know, one of the things that I never understand is the cruelty of, when you listen to these stories, you start asking yourself, how can you be so cruel that, that level of hate and ideology, right? That not only are you going to kill them, but you're also going to walk with them, because I'm sure the soldiers were also walking.
That's right.
So it's almost like you're causing pain even onto yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm hurting you.
Yeah.
I'm hurting myself just so I can hurt you more. You get what I'm saying? It's demonic. It's lunacy. It's
When you hate,
hate becomes your fuel. I don't know.
actually, when you hate, you are not hating anybody. You are hating yourself.
Because you think about that.
Yeah.
They caught you over there. They could have stripped your money and walked away
That's right.
and left you go on with your lives. No. They now walked with you another 200, 300 kilometers.
You know,
It's
There
not
is-
logical. A lot of these things are not logical.
yeah, but there is also mysteries of how God is planning to make you survive. Because if they shoot everybody, we survived. They took us back, but God had another plan. There is the things that happens in war that nobody can explain. I have many examples where we will be hiding and they will come and they chop someone and you are there, you are like this and you look, blood is all over you, and all of a sudden they left you, near him, nobody died. And it happens in war. So you cannot explain these things, but they happen. So they took us back. When we arrived in Numbi, they threw us in a prison. They took everything we had, clothes, shoes, everything they took. And threw us in a prison. I was young, and I remember they brought ugari and I ate.
You're hungry.
I was hungry. My mom refused it. I saw for the first time my mom was crying. I'm like, what happened?
Yes.
I didn't know what happened.
Yes.
You know, why are you crying? One thing that hurt me the most, that is almost I will never heal from. We had a Gera, a manager of our cows. He came to see my mom was in prison. So I went, my heart jumped. So I saw someone I know who was basically one of our sons, but he was I think it was a Hunde or Nande. I went and I told him in Swahili. I was so anxious to tell him that we are arrested and I thought he will help us to come out. So I say, Jera, unajua kama mama wamemfunga? Basically, manager,
Jera,
do you know that my mom is arrested? Do you know what he told me? Because for me, they were letting me play outside and come back in.
Yes.
Because there
I
was
mean,
no
you're
way
8 years old. Where would you go?
You know what he told me? He said, why are you out? That's the answer I got from that man. I swear, that's when I saw my world flipping upside down. That's when my eyes opened
And then
and
you
I
really
saw
the
things.
world.
I saw things that I will see the next 200, 500 years. I saw the human in its own nature.
The beast.
Beast. I went back, and that is when my hope was over. Now I became an adult.
At 8 years old.
Yeah. My mom used to be beaten every morning, and before they beat her, they would send me to go look for money. And they took all the money that we had. So I will be learning to see if I know anyone in the area who is left, who did not flee to Rwanda.
To ask for money.
To ask for money. And I will not find anyone. My mama will be beaten and then thrown in a prison. Remember, she had a 2-year-old baby who was on breastfeeding. And we stayed there, I don't know how many days or months, I don't know. And then there came a man who I didn't know, an angel. That time we came from a prison that was not paved, and we went in a paved one, very cold. And I saw this man. He used to be the manager of CPGR, the cows of Great Lakes region. But he knew my dad. And our farm and the CPGR's farm was close together. You know, there's they cut things. It's like a communication. They cut so the cows will not cross over. They will, they make something like
a trench.
A trench, yes. So this guy knew my father, and he asked, he came and talked to the commandant who was in charge of that prison. They talked in Lingara. We didn't really understand Lingara. And then they brought a case of beer and started drinking. They drink and talk. And then he said, okay. So he said, you can come and go to my house. So we got out. We thought they released us. So we went to his house. When we arrived at his house, he told us in Kinyarwanda. He said, I am a Munyarwanda. Pure from Rwanda. He's like, your father, your husband, telling my mom, was my friend. I cannot see you being killed here. It will haunt me the rest of my life. This guy looked the way they wanted to classify him as their own. You understand? So
he looked like a Congo man.
A Congolese. And this time my mom had to leave. He said, you leave. If you die, wherever I don't see, it's okay. But go. With the hunger, bare feet, no clothes, we again left without any direction.
How did you end up in Rwanda? Long
story. We walked again back to Murambi, hoping to see my father. So we passed where they captured us from. We continued going again in the forest because they saw us. Because the guy said, the people who are coming to kill you tomorrow are in the next farm. Very close to Numbi Center, where we were. So we had to leave that night because our killers were coming. So we left. And our killers, for some reason, were coming from Bukavu. I don't know why. They had to come from that far. So we left. And we continued going for days to arrive in Murambi. And Murambi, we waited there, but we didn't have money. So to cut a story short, we found one of our friends who borrowed us, I remember, $200. But that place where we were hiding, there was no food, nothing. And even that money they gave us, they gave us at the last minute before we can go. And it was the only ticket, nothing more, nothing less. So my mom went to hide. I was, I grew up in the cows and stuff. Running was my only bullet could catch me, So I told my mama, you go and hide, I will be looking for food for you. So I will go to a place called Kwagasuku and get something they used to call masegeti. Masegeti is like a milk that they will remove all fat and they will leave like water. So I will go and fetch that one and take straight from a machine. It was
it's
garbage.
I think it's from the cheese making. It's in English. It's called whey.
I think so.
Yes, they remove all the fat, make cheese, and then it's like a white, watery liquid.
Yeah, it was not even white. It was almost like yellow. It was like it was liquid, almost like almost colorless. And I will take it, but you will feel like there is some sort of serum or something. They put some product, and I will take to my mom to keep it hydrating.
Yes.
While we are waiting, whenever
she's also breastfeeding.
Exactly. So one day the vehicle came and we took that $200. That's how we traveled. When we arrived at a place called Rushoga, too much rain poured and the vehicle stuck. And we left the vehicle, too much rain. But another pain I received in that journey, my mom bought corn. Out of that $200.
Maize.
Yes, there was few, I don't remember how much money she left with, and she bought corn or maize. And she said, you will eat them when everyone else is eating, so you don't look at people eating, because it was forbidden in our house. So we said, yes, we listened. We didn't eat that the whole day, waiting that wherever we will sleep, we will eat like everybody else. Or stop. My friend, that rain poured so much. We left the vehicle because it was stuck in the mud. We went in a small hut of pygmies. And guess what? Our corn was stolen with the hunger. For the first time, now we are so wet, soaked. We are sitting in that mud, the hut. In my head, I'm praying. I'm like, okay, my mom will give me clothes and she will give me food. I'm waiting. My friend, I sat until morning. My mom was also in other, I mean, there was no corner. The house was like this big where we are sitting. And my mom is here with the 2 children, 3, and I'm here sitting, waiting. Why my mom is not doing anything to save me? You know, I didn't know a parent can be stranded like a baby. You know, at first time I thought, oh, even the parents are humans. They can't, you know, I thought my parents are, you know, they can make anything happen.
Yes.
Only this time I realized also that is impossible. So we came, we crossed Mugunga very terribly. We got to Mugunga and they took like a sharp tree. They started, you know, hitting in a plastic sheeting to see if there is a humans. And it was a humans for sure. Whoever hit in the eye, teeth, whatever they will do. But people will not say, because if they did, they will kill us. Yeah. There was no sound.
But you went through that, entered
We
Rwanda.
through that, we entered Rwanda, and then we were sent to refugee camps. Now, another trauma life started. In the refugee camps, some people, there was a transit camp called Ngamira, and another one called Mudende. Ngamira was a transit camp, and Mudende was one of the camps that was open that time. So people went in Mudende, and in 97, they killed so many of us.
There were changes.
Yes, they attacked us twice, and we ran to Ngamira. They attacked us there. They killed our. In Mudende alone, the number is not confirmed, but I heard about 3,000 people died there.
Wow.
In Ngamira, same thing happened. They killed around 158 something. And I was there, all of it. We got traumas that I don't know how to explain. Every time I had a bullet, I was like, it's over now. You know, Ngamira, they attacked us. I was there as well with my mom.
So how do you end up in Uganda?
So, in Uganda, in 2002, I came back to school, but there was people going to. People were leaving to go to.
Leaving the camps.
Yeah, to go back to Congo. And this time we remember 2002, El Sede was here. And then people thought peace has come and they returned. So my mom left as well. I was in school.
In secondary school by then?
High school, yeah. So because I didn't, my school was fractured because of wars and stuff. And when we arrived in Rwanda, my mom, we had so many kids. And we had to support my mom to raise those kids. You know, those are my 4 siblings. And then, of course, my mom. I went back in school. I didn't study high school, primary P2, 3, 4, 5. I went in the primary 6. And I did well in school, and I did. I scored a national exam, so I was hoping to get scholarship
for high school.
Yes, and then I didn't receive high school scholarship. They refused. They basically, because the refugees used to get scholarship by GLS, will give them.
What's GLS?
It's a Catholic, organization that was helping in refugee camps to give scholarships for us to leave the refugee camp and go to study in normal schools. And all I wanted is that motivation that I studied with to be able to, to have that scholarship. So when I didn't receive it, and when I my mom, I didn't know where my mom is anymore because she already went in Congo. I had to go to Uganda, And when I go to Uganda, still in the refugee camp, they took me to Nakivale.
I was there
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Nakivale. Terrible place.
But then actually, if I'm not mistaken, to be honest, the Nyachivale you found is much better than the one I saw.
Well,
because at least I'm sure you found at least buildings, almost semi-permanent buildings.
It was. Nakivale was hell. With that tiny little lake that is always green and the water coming from there, drinking it, knowing you are drinking literally mud. My friend, Nakivale was unique for me.
Yeah, that's where my grandparents, before we returned in 94, that's where I was in Nyachivale for a little while in the 80s. Then because of the issues, then we went to the place that they call it Chaka. Chaka. And we were in Chaka too.
No, for me, I didn't go Chaka too, but they took me back to Chankwale. Oh gosh. Now this one is special. I remember when the Ebola used to come and they will be updating us where Ebola is like in 1 kilometer and they seal the camp. Yes. No one will leave. Yeah, because they know epidemic is coming and then they block everyone. You can't leave the camp. So we knew we are dead. My friend. The life in camp, both in all those camps, and it was, there's no word that can put in a true description of the pain.
No, I think because the camps or this kind of experience will cause two things. It will either kill you or it will create a different type of human being.
That's right.
Who has an ability to withstand pain. And I think that might be the strength of even the young men and women who are part of M23. That kind of pain.
You get to a point where you realize that there is no pain left for you. And that is what it is.
And death might be less painful.
Exactly. Because I told people, nothing, absolutely nothing that is left to happen to me except to enter the grave. But even death, I saw death many times. And nothing is left for me to fear. And this is what I laugh about when Congolese from Kinshasa are like, you are terrorist, you're Ntaganda, this, that, we will do. I'm laughing. I'm like, fear is the least thing I have in me. Yeah, I have everything else except fear. Fear is something I take like it doesn't exist.
So you were in Canada. Like me, I was there from 86 to 93. You were there from 2013.
Yeah, until 2020.
But you're talking about fear. So some people would say that, after going through all that pain, after, Mudende and all the things, then you go and you end up in Uganda. Somehow you get out of that mess. And then you end up in the beautiful, land of Canada. Not only do you end up in the beautiful land of Canada, you settle there, you find a wife, you have 3 beautiful children. Someone could say that literally you had made it in life. Someone could say, this is the time where a person who's gone through pain since the age of 8, now they're in their 30s, maybe it's time to stop inflicting more pain on yourself.
That's right.
But then somehow you decided to get out of that comfort zone and get involved again in our there's this show called Game of Thrones that's very popular, and sometimes I think that the politics of our Central African region sometimes is Game of Thrones. It's a deadly game. Is the life that you lived, and as you've said, that removed the fear from you, is the life that you lived the fuel that allowed you to not fall into that comfort zone of Canada? Because I know how Canada can be. You can get caught up in just daily life. Is it the fuel that allowed you to say, you know what, I'm not scared, and I'm not going to be comfortable here because there's something more?
For me, I remember, because I talked about going back home anywhere I was. And then I remember one day, my brother called me. He's now in the States. He said, why don't you leave politics? One thing that is a mistake where people see when basically we are fighting for our survival and they call it politics. And I didn't know what politics is. All I needed was like, how do you live in a camp when a foreigner, a stranger, a killer is living in your land and you have nowhere to call home? How is this possible? What kind of world is this? That was my always questions. And then I told my brother, you can learn and live what is chasing you. You can't live what is learning inside you.
Yeah, what's inside you.
This is what I am, and I can't change. I don't know what else I can do. And I was serious. And I was thinking, like you said, when I went in Canada, I said, I would never look back in Africa. Not only to go in Congo, in Africa in general. I'm done.
I'm done with black people.
When I arrived,
yes.
And God is my witness, I'm not even exaggerating. I was received in the reception house. In the morning, I went and they looked beautiful. I was in Ottawa, and I looked at Ottawa River. Saw how they
Was
built.
it winter?
No, it was summer. It was summer. It was in July.
Nice. It was
beautiful.
nice.
It was beautiful. And I looked beautiful, Canada. I looked all over the place. And what is playing in my head, I'm just, daydreaming if this was Congo. I became so more orphan, so miserable the minute I became free. Because there is a things that people don't understand. Canada is beautiful, as you said, and beautiful people too. And it's a country that only country that gave me passport at 33 years old of age. Since I was born, I didn't have a country that can give me passport until I was 33 years old. Canada has given me space to think and to express myself. And from that day, as I was sitting on the bank of Ottawa River, I started thinking, what can I do now for my people? Remember, I am in Ottawa. Remember, my brother called me to avoid politics. And I know I'm not in politics. I'm trying to survive. And remember my people who did not come to Canada, who are still trapped in refugee camps. How can their voice be heard? Then, for some reason, Canadian people are people who notices talents. They can see talents, and Canada is one of the few countries that want to push your talents up, you know. So everywhere I will go, I will say my story. Everywhere. Every second I get with anyone, I will say my story.
Yes.
And then from that reception house, before I even get a house, they already placed me into one group. I was representing Ottawa in a group of young people who were doing the work of basically evaluating the government assistance to the immigrant young people. So I was one of the people leading the team of Ottawa. And then when I went in different meetings, flying across the country, I was saying, you know, somehow my story will always end up on table, discussing how my country's, you know, every example that I will give in a discussion, it will be Congo, how Congo will be doing better, you know. Then it became like contagious. People now wanted me to share my stories across big platforms. That's how I ended up going to TEDx talk, I remember one summit that happened in Ottawa. And there were people I saw on TVs that I could never dream I will ever be in such platform whatsoever. In this platform, there were people like Mohamed Yunus. You know, Mohamed Yunus is a guy who invented microfinance. There were people like John Rando, the producer of Titanic together with Cameroon and Avatar. There were people like Emma Watson in Harry Potter. There were people like Chris Hadfield, the one astronaut we have in Canada who went in international space. There were people, Kofi Annan was there. Because I was very active in young people and sharing my stories, participated at the universities, Carleton and University of Ottawa, you know, even when the Syrians were coming into Canada, I was one of the few people who did fundraising events to raise money to support them. And Carleton University sharing stories with the Somalis and raising money for constructions in Somali. And then I saw Canada sending me an invitation to participate in this summit. To enter this summit, I don't remember properly, but I think it was between either 10,000 Canadian or 10,000 pounds. And
I did not have it.
I didn't even care. I didn't know who they are, you know. So I saw that invitation to participate in a summit. Canada already paid it. Canada is a country. Even that time, I think it was I was 31 years of age, and they needed 30. They was basically capping at 30 years old. They even reduced my age to be able to be in that summit, and they paid the money. I didn't know. I remember I was also planning a trip to go to, I was planning to go to, I just came from Jamaica, I believe, to build a school. No, it was before that. I was with, again, leading young people in my church. I was a youth leader in my church. And I went to participate. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was just, you know, the
a meeting.
Westerners, you know, having a summit of whatever. That summit changed my being, my make. I went, and the presentations that I saw there, I spent there 4 days with these people every day. So those are the few people I mentioned. There were people. The presentations of young people I heard in that platform, I swear, they challenged me to think if I'm a human or I'm a tiny little, you know, small thing. People had thoughts when they say the thing they have done. Young people like me, when people say their experiences of things they invented, I was like, who am I? Why am I here? You know, I realized people who are thinking close to God, I swear. People who are too smart for me to grasp even the ideas they were sharing in the meeting, in that summit. It is a summit. It's called One Young World. This One Young World brings bright people, leaders, young leaders, and they put them in a room for 4 days. Bring the people that you only hear in news, that you never see on street or even close to your neighborhood, you know?
Well, I guess Willy Manzi, who was in the Young Leaders Summit, I mean, they might be now watching you in the news too.
Oh yeah,
All
now
those guys.
yeah. Now, and this is what they want. Actually, this is the essence of that summit to happen in every year. It happens every year, and now there is that presentation that happened. For example, there is one young man who said, "Oh, my city was getting crowded. Then I invented like a space truck for this."
The rail.
Yes. Another one said, okay, my city was having issue of epidemic. Then I invented a device that will be detecting this epidemic a month before. I'm like, now my brain is spinning my Congo with a Congolese who only see you as a Tutsi and they kill you, who can never think of how they can use their, the wealth they have to produce, to share the beauty of the things that could be made in Congo. I was sitting just like, wow, soaking in everything. And then in the evening, we will be meeting one-on-one with those big guys, sharing their experiences like we are sharing. We'll be in a room, and then maybe Kofi Annan will be there and will talk to us. You ask any question you want. That became now my mission, to be a different person from who I am. That is when Manzi, who was a victim, became Manzi, a victor, who should leave the story behind. And that story be the fuel to propel me to new horizon. That's when I started now creating initiatives. In that year, I organized those young people that I read in church. We did a fundraising event and we went to build a school in Jamaica. In the following year, it was on Christmas, 2017, 2018, I formed an organization called Heroes of Peace, and I bought a land up here. And I had 3 missions. One was to build a school that only focuses on the technology from the nursery to university. Why? I felt like Congo, we had this, raw materials, but we cannot add any value to be able to sell to the growing population of Congo and Africa in general. So I felt like we are losing, So I said, if we can make university, if we can change our educational system like China, eventually we can get to a place where we will raise everyone in our community. That was number 1. Number 2, I felt like, okay, I got the resources because now I met Mohamed Yunus. He has something called the Yunus Center, and they do crazy stuff, beautiful things. How to preserve mangoes, and these people who lose these mangoes, they can cut them and dry them and make juice indefinitely. Like, I learned so many things. Now I said, okay, I got people. Now I need to use these people to change my country.
Yes.
So another point that I wanted to focus on was hospital. I felt like you cannot have basically a country where when you have a headache, you may end up dying. So I felt like we can change that. We can give people, we can extend life in Congo using what we have. We don't need even to invent new stuff. So I said, okay, I need to come. I came with my own money. I bought the land here. I registered
In
here.
Goma.
In Goma. I got everything. This is 2018.
But that's you as a Canadian, funny enough.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Exactly. So I started doing it because I felt like there's so much potential that we could do. We could change things here in Congo. Number 2, so that is a hospital. And I felt how I started planning how we can make a huge hospital. I realized that this money we take to India for us to be treated can end up in our hospitals here.
Yeah,
So
you literally sound like the president of Rwanda, because that's the very same reasoning. Why are we spending our USD to get healed in India?
When we can build it in our own homeland.
Literally.
Yeah, he's my idol. Yeah, so I said, okay, that one. And I felt there is also a topic. If I wanted to create that physical hospital, and I wanted to create a mobile clinic that will be finding people's in homes, diagnosed, and those who cannot be treated there can be referred to our referral hospital now in Goma. That was my thinking. So I bought the land. Afterwards, the number 3 point was microfinance now.
Yes.
So I said, every time you don't belong in something, you don't care whether it is destroyed or not. So I realized that part of the insecurity was because there was imbalance in wealth sharing here in Congo. So I felt if you can empower young people by not only showing what they can do, but also helping them to achieve it by giving them small loans to build their wealth, they will eventually realize that they belong somewhere and they need to preserve it. So few days, my dream was cut short because my land was confiscated with all my papers. I remember calling the Mwami, the king of the area. I said, my land was confiscated and I'm in a court, but it shouldn't be because I have all the papers. Guess what? He told me to give him 25,000 USD for him to intervene. And in where I was going to build all this infrastructure is in his kingdom.
Yes.
You know what I told him? I said, you are one of the few stupid king I have ever spoken to. I'm like, my children are Canadians. I'm in Canada. You need these things more than I do. This is your people that I'm trying to support, And that is when my old images, my old stories, my old memory of bad Congo came back. I said, you can't go anywhere in this country
kind of mentality,
with this kind of leaders, kind of mentalities, kind of government. All these people must go.
all of them.
All of them. That's when I decided to join anything saying I'm removing anything Congolese government. That's when I became charged. I said, there is nothing. You can't go through humanitarian. You can't go through legal. You can't go through anything. You must survive by using any necessary means to remove these people.
I guess it's almost you burn everything to rebuild anew.
Yeah.
A new people,
Yeah.
a new way of thinking. You've said something that I just want to understand. You said that President Paul Kagame is your idol. What do you mean by that?
I think when
Because that's a very controversial take.
Yeah. He's there is things I don't like to say, but I always tell anyone that I meet, Rwandan, I'm like, uwambaye ikirezi ntamenya ko cyera. I don't know how to say it in English, but it's a unique gift that you have. Take as much as you can from that man. I mean it. Because when you see where Rwanda is after 30 years of genocide against the Tutsis, when they entered the country without one single coin, no single house standing, meaning anything. I mean, there were houses, but empty. Nothing called wealth was in that country. And you see where he brought that country from, military-wise in security. And recently I was seeing in Africa, saying Rwanda is one of the best contributor in security. And you see your GDP, your roads, your anything. Recently I spoke to one guy, and he said, I don't know which road he was telling me, because for me, I don't know Rwanda well. You know, though they say I'm Munyarwanda, but even Kigali, I don't know Kigali well.
I'll invite you.
Thank you. Thank you. He said there is a road going, I don't know if it is Tongororero. Like there is a tarmac going there. He's like, literally, there's nothing Tongororero. When you think about it, there is only people, but nothing else. But for us in Rubaya, where we have so-called biggest mining deposit and this, and all the beautiful names they name it, there is no road going there. He's like, we literally have the reason to build the road because this thing have money buried in that underground, compared to Ngororero, where there is only eucalyptus, eucalyptus and the people, He's like, that is where I see His Excellency Paul Kagame. He have taught Africans how to think. And he actually unlocked the people to understand they can make it, they can do it. People used to believe only things that can be done by a white man. If a white man is not a part of a business, will not move anywhere. President Kagame has challenged that. But everybody else in Africa see it. Even in Europe and the Americas. Only few people in Rwanda can notice.
What? Because now you're I guess, I'm trying to now see how you get from idol, because it's not just that he's a great leader.
Yeah.
He's also a level of administration. So I'd be really interested in knowing, you are leading a post-conflict society. Actually, you're still in conflict, to be honest.
Right, yeah.
What are the practical lessons
from him
and the Rwandan journey that you now apply in your day-to-day running of the state of, we could call it the state of North Kivu?
There are many, but I will choose a few. One is a fight against corruption. Corruption is the one of the cancer that destroys a country completely. Because I will tell you something. When I sit in my office, people will come and say, oh, can you give me a job? When someone asks me a job, if I could give this person a job, I will be done I will have done something bad in two ways. One, this person who will know that this person was put in place by a governor will not be touched, even when they do wrong. Number two, this person will not be accountable to what he's done. Number three, this person will not be, not only that is not going to follow the structure. This person will feel that is a special. And this will create not only a conflict between him and the person who's supposed to be in charge of, evaluating him or her. It will be now, I will be the causer of progress problem. Because now I put almost a barrier there. That's number one. So basically cutting corruption in any form. Another way is that this person who is able to reach me can get whatever they want, and those who are here will never have a chance in life. So giving people equal opportunity. That's one. Number two is going to the ground, holding accountable big authorities, which is the culture in Africa where no matter how small post you have, you become this.
You're a king.
And you forget that these are the only business you have that has made you be whoever you are going to be. And President Kagame going to the ground and see widows, people who have no voice, ask him a question and he follows it right away. That's my mode of operation here. We have Tuesdays and Thursdays where I have open, but
open door policy.
Exactly. They will come and I will hear, and people will be open to tell me where they are hurt. It doesn't matter what. And then it will be up to me to make it happen, to make this Mtulage understand that this is not a government of, big people. It's a government of the people. And these are very, very big things I got from him. Maybe lastly is infrastructure and how he's involved in almost everything. Basically, he's not a man of the office. He's man of the field who will see everything, and wherever necessary that he can get involved, he will be involved as long as this thing will be solved. And this is why you have a strong army, you have strong policies, how you build your policies, everything have a policies, how you created your e-government. All these are the things to learn from. So I'm a person who always say, okay, they call me, oh, you Rwanda. Then I remember responding to one, I'm like, actually calling me Rwandan is a compliment. So don't think you're hurting me. You are actually complimenting me, because Rwanda has shown us the model of Africa, how Africa should look like at, entire continent. If Rwanda can do it, South Africa can do it, Congo can do it. We have even more means.
More resources.
The only thing we lost, we don't have, was the heads. Those heads I said they should be changed from the Kinshasa. But for me, I am a person who accept what I don't know and put energy in learning those I know. Number two, copying what you have done is not a sin. You invested, but for me it's copying. How quick should I do that? Do you understand someone to be stupid to a point where even copying will not be possible for them? Have you studied with a classmate where you can do this and this? No, show me how you do. But it's here, copy. And they will not be able to copy. That's how some neighboring country to your country are. They don't even know how to copy. Rwanda has invested policies of calling experts in things that you may not even know. These are amazing. Bring people to build your policies. Then you bring people to expert to make their research and present the project. And then you put your expert and the people who will be, evaluating how project is going. And every dollar is accounted for the sake of population. This is so much things that I learned from the man. And lastly is that he never fear. Anything that will put Rwanda up, he can die for it. And that is me. And that is something that I learned from him. I learned that in this world, the only thing you go with is legacy. Nothing else. Not money, not a beautiful house that you have built, not a beautiful wife, nothing. Not so much money in your bank account. In the end, they will bury you in 2.5 meters. And they will go, if you are a man, with a shirt and a pant. That's it. So why are we sweating, accumulating things on ourselves when we're supposed to be serving others? And we create stories that will never fade. That's what I learned from this man. A man who is not said to have so many bank accounts and traveling in a expensive jets and do whatever, but making sure that every Rwandan is counted for and every Rwandan's voice is heard. I see people tagging him on Twitter and the things that they said is solved. That's a president of the people. You know, there is a president of other things apart from their people, including the president of Kinshasa. You understand? A man who will take into, like, he will be in a plane almost the entire year without looking back and see what is happening in his people. You know, I remember there was a problem. I will not say a country, but the Rwandan people had a problem in that country. I will not name the country. And I remember President Kagame sending a plane to pick them up. He's like, whoever is available to come, there is a transportation to go home. This is a man who have put values on Rwandans. I want to see that in our Congolese people. I want them to enjoy life like you guys are doing. Many people who have left diaspora and come to Rwanda, they don't want to go back.
Yeah.
But in many parts of the Africa continent, people are leaving their country going to diaspora. And he said a word recently, I followed him saying, our talent are leaving our continent. Just because we refused, the platform where they can perform their talents. Other people are exploiting them. Canada or America, if you study well and you're bright, they're going to give you a free passport.
Yeah.
They're not even going to put in this, or you are going to have citizenship, because they know you're going to push the country further.
And that's what you want for the Congo.
That's what I want for my country. I swear I want to see my Congo in a few years. You ask a Congolese, here is a visa, go to this country, and they say no. This will be a test that I have done my job well. Yeah.
Where if you're seeing a shirt that says Visit Congo, people won't laugh, but they'll say this is a place to visit. I want to ask you the last question. I've taken a lot of your time. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. I've learned so much. What is the thing that keeps you up at night?
It used to be bad things, like calls. It used to be calls for help. Not now. It is a joy of planning what I will do next morning. If it is going to the ground, how the cases we have can solve, how can we plan for, our justice system, how can we make sure that our villages are developed, what do we need, how can now interest our investors to come in our country, to interest them, build like a power grid in villages like Rubaya, where there is so big population and there is no electricity, and I can see potential that can come out of electricity, even building banks in a village, processing food and making, not eating potato, but we can make potato into 50 different ways of eating potato, thinking on how we can, get investors who can come and, export this gas methane that we have. See how we can make our urban areas beautiful. You see, like, this space where they're building homes all the way to the, water. Thinking on how we can, redesign our urban areas where this area could be public, not private properties. Design our roads, And lastly, how can we put two things that are in social, which is best education and best hospitals. So these are, that excitement on how I'm participating on putting every brick to this beautiful new nation, foundation. Yeah.
You have a lot of work, and this interview has certainly kept you away from your work. So without further ado, I'll let you go back to your job. Manzi, thank you so much, Governor, for spending time with me and welcoming me into your beautiful country.
Thank you.
This is my very first time. I was finally able to get a stamp that says DRC Goma.
Definitely, yeah.
And hopefully you will invite me once again. I'll be back here after a year.
Yeah, that's a long time. There is a lot of activities. You may come to see, launch of our new tarmac roads.
Maybe at the reopening of the airport. I think that one is something that's
that also, and also new design of the airport. We will never live in that garbage again.
You have the means.
We have the means.
You have the brains.
Exactly.
And now with your government and people like you, you have the will.
We have the will, and we have, role models. People we are looking how they did their own things, and we can copy and apply to our own things. I prefer to basically modeling, or mold the solution that was already done. Copy, apply, then mold to my own needs.
And make it even better.
Exactly. Rather than invent. If there is where I can copy it, why not? This is why China is going at fast rate, because
it copied the US.
It's copying some officially, some unofficially, I don't want to say it, but it happens, So we have role models across our neighborhood, and we are watching every time from your way you do taxes, the way you do your traffic, the way and we have done so much that we didn't say, like, organizing motorcycles and, registering them, and we put vehicles, and soon they will have, we already stopped 3 people going to one motorcycle, and making sure that we are marking our roads properly. We have now traffic police and who do not, stop vehicles to touch people's pockets, but to guide them. There is so much things that has happened in these 100 days, So when you come back, you will find, I don't know what you will find, but it will be
even better.
They are awesome. Yeah.
So are you saying to the Rwandans who might be watching this, or other people, are you saying visit Goma? It's open,
my goodness.
it's safe?
I think you should be saying that, because you saw that. No, it's well beyond being safe. It's Goma is safe and is clean, and there is awesome food. You didn't eat here, but
no, I never got a chance.
Yeah, but when you come with only one, plan to eat food of Goma.
Where should I go?
Anywhere you can go. Linda Hotel, you can go to, Serena, Karibu. All these hotels are very good restaurants. You can go eat anything. Fish from, clean water that you see. It's amazing,
No, I'm sure.
Try our kitchen.
We'll try it. We'll certainly try it. Thank you so much, Governor. And I hope you enjoyed your time here on the long form.
Definitely. We look forward to, to come back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us until the very end. I'd actually love to hear your thoughts on today's conversation. So drop a comment below and join the discussion. You can also join us on the social media of your choice. And if you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with a friend and invite them to the conversation. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.